Yo, what is crack-a-lackin' Ridge Runner Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Ridge Runners Live, the very first one of 2022. And we're joined by some incredible guests who ran the Night Owl Trail Marathon a couple weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, coming to us all the way from Cincinnati, Ohio, Andrew Waugh and Mo Weincouff. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Great.
We're so excited to have both of you on the show tonight. You guys have had some awesome performances, and you guys have an incredible community that you're a part of down there in Cincinnati. And we're so excited to dive into all of that here shortly. But let's start things off with how we normally start things off. And what is everyone drinking tonight? And Andrew, if you want to start things off.
Sure. I have a Spindrift with lime sparkling water.
Love it. Love it. That's a first too.
Oh, really?
Good stuff. It's not just lime flavor. It has actual lime juice in it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Mo, what about you?
I am your bold flavor Canada Dry,
Bold.
aka old lady beverage.
It's a bold choice.
It's a bold choice.
You can never go wrong with that. John, what about you?
So I'm up here in Wisconsin, and unfortunately didn't get a Wisconsin beer, but I found a beer because I shopped around like what Cam does, and I think you too, Wesley, by the label, the picture and everything.
For sure.
So I got this beer here. See if I can get that to come into focus. It's called Big Hugs, and it's from it's a half acre. It's like brewed in Chicago, and it's an Imperial Coffee Stout. So I'm excited for that. It's a little high in the percentage, and I'm excited to get onto that. Wesley, what do you got over there?
I've got, to celebrate the occasion, John, you're going to like this one, the Grand Tetons Brewing Company. It's a juicy IPA. And so, John was up in the Tetons back in September and thought it'd be kind of good to bring this one out. So, but yeah, let's dive into it, guys. For those of you that don't know, you can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're on Strava, join our Strava club as well. I believe these two members are both a part of the club, and so you can be a part of what we have going on there. But let's just start off, before we talk about the Night Owl race specifically, I want to get to know a little bit more about you guys' running background. So let's just start off by telling us about the first time that you decided to lace up a pair of running shoes. And Mo, if you want to start this one off.
I think I was 16. And I just started running at parks, and then I got into marathoning shortly thereafter, and ran for a long time just running marathons, never trails. I think it was 2019 that I started running trails and met Andrew.
Awesome. Andrew?
I don't know if I had running shoes at the time, but I did my first 5K with my dad when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and it was in Portsmouth, Ohio. It was the Shawnee State Bear Run 5K, sometime in the 90s. I don't know what year it would have been, but that's the first time I remember running, and I hated it. I was miserable the whole time. I was like whining and complaining to my dad, who I was running it with, like, when is this going to be over? I'm so miserable. But I don't know if I actually had running shoes on at the time or if they were just regular tennis shoes. I don't know.
Go
ahead.
Go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, but then I like put on actual running shoes for the first time when I was like, in high school at some point, and I just started running a few miles at a time around town. I ran my first half marathon when I was 25. A coworker was running a half marathon, and they convinced me to sign up kind of spontaneously a couple days before. So I did that, and then did a marathon the next year, and that's how I got started.
Number of people who have done races where they've I signed up before a half or full, like days or weeks before, like not like months to train. Just like, a couple days, I'll give it a shot. How did that go for you that day? Was it a sufferfest, or did you make it through?
It was hard. It was the longest run I'd ever done by, I think, like 5 miles. I think I'd done like 8 before in training. So I got to like mile 9 or 10, and it felt like, everything was burning, and it was hard to breathe, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of a cool challenge. Yeah. My favorite part was just the fact that everybody was like in the same boat. Like I would look left and right, and like everyone else was kind of feeling the same way. And it's like, come on, let's go. Let's keep pushing through. So
Yeah,
it was
no, that's
fun.
awesome. And I kind of think it's interesting that both of your guys' stories both have you guys starting off on the roads. I'm also the same way, starting off with the road running before transitioning over to the trail running side of things. And this was a trail race that you guys ran. Talk about how you transitioned to the trails and what that was like for you and why you made that move. And Mo, if you want to start off first.
I was actually going as a wingman for a young lady that was meeting up with a single guy. And I met up with this group of people, and I just had the time of my life. I thought it was so fun and very freeing, and people were running much slower and just kind of felt like we were able to enjoy each other a bit more. And that's kind of how I started.
So the community obviously hooked you to it, but what was the time, like, what made you sign up for a trail race after being a part of the group run?
Oh, it was well, I think it was Night Owl in 2019, and I was training for, I got into the lottery at the Tahoe Rim 50K. And so I was doing some training, and then they were like, why don't you run at this, night race that's a half marathon? And so then I started running at night, and that was the first Night Owl in 2020, winter one.
The first night out, period.
Period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's kind of cool that your trail running journey kind of started at this race and you were able to return back to that this year. It's going to be kind of fun, really fun to learn about that. Andrew, what about you? How did you make that transition to the trail scene?
So after I had run marathons for a few years, like 1 or 2 marathons a year, I got into a buddy. It's always I've got these terrible influences, all these buddies in my life who convince me to do dumb stuff. But I had a buddy
Thank
who
you,
convinced.
Andrew.
Yeah, one of them's right here. I had a buddy who convinced me to do a triathlon, and that was a lot of fun. And so I did triathlons for a couple of years, and I had heard about. I think I saw on Facebook someone shared the Shawnee 50, the first Shawnee 50. Someone shared the event on Facebook. I don't know how I saw it, but I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," and I clicked the interested button because I wasn't ready to commit. But I was like, when this comes around, I think I saw it, months in advance. I was like, when this comes around, maybe that's something I'll think about. And about a month before the race, I saw that it was coming up still, and I was like, I've been doing all this training for running for triathlon, and I think I'm in pretty good shape. I want to see, I'll give it a try to see how it goes. So I did my first trail run. I went to one of the local running stores at Fleet Feet and bought some trail shoes. And one of the ladies who helped me get the shoes said, "Oh, why don't you go over to French Park down the road? Like, that's where I like to trail run." So I went there. I did my first trail run there. And I ran there for about 3 weeks leading up to the Shawnee 50, and I fell a bunch. The focus for me, the transition from road to trail, the focus is so different. I just wasn't paying enough attention to my footing, so I would just like wipe out a bunch. But yeah, so then I showed up for the Shawnee 50, and man, that was a wild experience. My whole athletic world changed. Yeah.
A lot going on in that race, especially on that backside, over the dark side, as it's called. But We've got some active people in the chat tonight. Paul is just going nuts in the chat. Paul DeFord is
Oh
making
boy.
plenty of comments.
Watch out for this guy.
Triathlon.
We
is
can't
the-
see those.
Oh, you can pull it up on the side if you wanted to.
Oh, I
Oh,
can?
can you?
on YouTube and try to
Oh.
look at it that way. Just make sure you
Okay.
have it like muted.
Is it
but
distracting?
it can be. But so Paul says triathlon is the gateway drug. And Wesley,
Yeah.
can you please discuss the negative impact that cycling has on running? Andrew doesn't believe him. So we're going to get real technical here in the next few minutes, and we're going to talk about why cycling is apparently bad for you. I have no idea.
I mean, yeah, Paul knows me really well. Cycling sucks. No, just kidding. I have nothing against cross training or cycling. I think it's great. But Andrew, I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts and why this is not a big deal for you and Paul.
Right. Well, so Paul used to do triathlon, and Paul did a big triathlon. And since that triathlon, Paul has not been on his bicycle one time. And I think the number of years that have passed since that event, I don't think I can count on one hand. So somebody claims he doesn't have a bike pump, but I'm not buying that excuse.
I'll just send him one. Just get that excuse out of there.
He says he's one of the best soccer players in Cincinnati, so he definitely has a ball pump for his soccer ball. I'm sure it works on a bike. It's kind of a rough take from Paul there, but we'll move on. We'll move on. But let's dive into the Night Owl, guys. This is going to be fun to kind of learn about, and this is an awesome race, and I believe there's 2 editions of it now. There's the winter edition that happens in the winter, and then the summer edition as well. Talk about why you guys decided to sign up for this year's race, and Mo, if you want to kick things off again.
I was really just kind of on the fence about it. I was just returning home from vacation, and I wasn't sure if I was wanting to commit, but I did, and I was really late to the party, and I was on the wait list, and I didn't know until New Year's Day that I was coming home to run it. So I love running at night, and it's fun with other people, and so it's just a good opportunity to run at night with friends.
How is this year kind of different from the first year you did it, and kind of what were those emotions like going back to the starting line? I mean, obviously you mentioned that it was kind of your first trail race, and kind of being with friends this year was kind of one of the big motivations. But what was your, like, when the gun went off, kind of to walk us through what that moment was like?
Well, I was happy I got to see the marathoners off first. So in the year prior, we all started at the same time. So it was, and then it was the first one, it was out and back. So as the marathoners were passing you, you were able to see them. And that was a lot of fun. And the conditions were really icy and horrible. So we were like slipping and sliding into each other, but it was a whole lot of fun. This time, when the gun went off, I had Paul in front of me, Joe Bodner, the other half marathoners, they were all in front of me. I just said, I'm just going to keep running till I catch them. And I never did, but because they're a little bit faster than me, but it was just nice running around trying to chase them.
I mean, you did catch him at the finish line, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes, over a slice of pizza and some
Nice.
cupcakes.
Thanks, Max.
Still caught them.
He's in the chat.
Yeah, he
Thanks,
said
The pizza
he said
provider.
positive # peer pressure in terms of you guys as being terrible friends and making each other sign up for stuff.
Yeah.
It's true.
But Andrew, how was the start of yours?
Well, the race started, and man, so I also ran the Night Owl in 2020, the first one, and gosh, the weather was so different. It was sleeting for most of that race, like sleeting sideways. It was coming down hard, and it was cold, and the course was just a swamp. It was a mud pit filled with slushy, icy mud. It was really brutal in my experience. And this year couldn't have been any different. The course was perfect. It was really cold the week leading up to the race, so the ground was hard. We got some rain. We got a lot of rain the weekend before, but it was all frozen. And so for the majority of the run, the terrain was just, you could get really good footing. Like I said, the ground was hard, but it wasn't like super icy. It was just solid. So the first loop for me I was able to do that in daylight. So I felt like I got a good groove going with that. And then during the second loop, it had gotten dark by that point. So I had to flip the headlamp on, running in the dark now. This race has a full marathon, a half marathon, and a 10K. And they start at different times. So I think the half marathon starts an hour after the marathon, and the 10K is after that. So by the time I was into the second loop, I was getting to run with people or see people from the Cincy running community. They were doing the different distances, the half marathon and the 10K. I saw Mark Olegi, who was out there on the course doing, I think he was doing the 10K. I wasn't able to catch up to any of the half marathoners like Paul and Mo or anybody, but
I was thinking you were almost there.
I was trying.
Yeah. I went to go change. I said, Nettie, what was his time? And coming through the first time, and I said, okay, I have time to change. And I went to my car to change, and I hear them announcing him coming through the finish. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
But I had an hour head start. But during the second loop at night, it started to rain. So I was trying to, I don't know, I was starting to think, like, is this going to turn into a situation like it was a couple of years ago where it's a muddy swamp? But it wasn't able to come down hard enough or long enough to really turn the course too swampy. So yeah, I was grateful for that weather. That just made the run really enjoyable. And I think that's the different course times. It's like every time that they have a running event, and this is true of any trail race, the conditions you get, it's hard to compare different years of the same race, because if the weather is different, the ground is softer or harder, or it's a totally different running. That's what's one of the things that's so cool about this race. They have the winter running and the summer running. The summer is totally different too. When they had the summer running back in, I think it was June or one of the summer months, and Chad Coombs won the race. It was 90 degrees that afternoon. And Chad fully embraced that in his Hawaii 5-0, like button-up shirt and shorts he was wearing, which was pretty hilarious. But yeah.
Yeah, and even like if it was just a week later, like, I think, how much snow did you guys get over the past weekend? But just a week difference on that race when it was scheduled, it would have been like, 6 or 12 inches of snow on the ground, maybe. I don't know how far
exactly
it was, but we had like 20 up here in Kent. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so all that stuff changes. All the dynamics get thrown up in the air when something like that happens. So it's a good challenge. Keeps things interesting.
Yeah, and like I like what you were saying, like, about like trying to compare races to previous years. It's always fun to try to do that, and Wesley's getting better at it apparently, with his prediction videos over there. But but like it's just like interesting because like there's so many different variables that go into these longer races that it's not a controlled environment, and it can be 15, 20, 30 minutes, hours even on the longer races difference. So looking at this race, did either of you have any like really like low points at all, or was it all just a really good, like, happy, go lucky kind of race and just having fun?
I overshot a bridge. I was running across the bridge with a lot of speed, and for me, let's just say speed for me. And I guess you were supposed to pop off the bridge down into the trail, and I completely just missed it and kept running for probably another, I don't know, half mile. And then I realized I'm not going back into trail. And so I turned around and went back, and then found my way back into the trail. So those kinds of things just kind of set you back a little bit. You've got to kind of get back on track and kind of reset, I guess, is what I had to do.
Yeah, Andrew, what about you?
Did I have any setbacks during the run? I am notoriously terrible with any kind of sense of direction. And Nettie, the race director, or one of the race directors, marked the course the week before the race on Strava. So I saved the route for course marking as a route on Strava and had it loaded on my watch just as like a backup. Because I'm really good at missing turns, especially if I'm like pushing or later in a race when I'm more tired. I'm really good at making a wrong turn. So luckily I didn't make any major course mistakes that I know of, because I had the route loaded on my watch. There was one like turn where it's like a dead end and you're just up against a fence, and like 10 feet before you had to like go up this staircase, and I missed on the second loop in the dark. I missed that, so I'm like, oh, I come to a complete stop. I'm like, oh, there's nowhere for me to go. Back up the stairs. So there was that. I mean, anytime I've run a marathon, it's a range of emotions running. I think you experience high moments, low moments. I think what's important for me is to just expect that. Expect to have moments where you're feeling better and moments where you're feeling worse. And know and understand that it's okay when it doesn't feel good. And those are the moments that you keep pushing through because they don't last forever. So when you have a low, you keep going and kind of keep your race energy going. I had a couple like mantras I was kind of like saying in my head a little bit, like life is hard. Okay, that's okay. It's okay that life is hard. You can still deal with that. Keep pushing, keep doing your best. That's all any of us can do. Mm-hmm. So I would kind of like in a moment where I wasn't feeling good, I would kind of try to like think of that. And then it's always super, super duper empowering to me to run around other people like in my community, people that I know. So every time I would see a familiar face on the course or somebody I knew, that would kind of give me a boost to my spirits. So that was able to, those things all together helped me get to the finish line. But about a mile before the finish line, I wiped out. I usually do that in trail races towards the end. That seems to be a tradition of mine. But it was raining at that point. It was in the dark, and I was kind of 25 miles into the run, and so I just let my right foot didn't lift it up high enough over a root, and kind of fell down. But it was a real quick, nothing major, just down and back up and keep going.
Just a quick push up, right? Just
it's a cross training. Yeah, plyometrics.
Exactly. To touch on what you were just talking about with those low points and kind of pushing through, I think there was a good question in the chat here from, it looks username like Kazer. I think they said that their name was Wheezy earlier. It says, what is most gratifying to you folks about these long runs? So, you're pushing through all these challenging things, but like kind of why are these like long runs gratifying to you? And Mo, if you want to go first.
Hey fam. That's my family. I think just anytime first, I don't ever go at these things alone. I'm usually with peers and friends. I haven't done anything alone yet to date, really. And so just knowing that they're there doing the same thing I'm doing, I think I'm most gratified watching others push forward in hard times or accomplish things that they set out to do probably many, many, many months ago. I'm sorry. Some of these longer endurance things, take sometimes 6 months to a year. And I find it most gratifying watching friends, accomplish their goals and succeeding. And I probably feel the same about myself.
Awesome. Andrew, are you similar in that mindset, or?
Yeah, I agree with everything Mo said. I kind of see these anything you do that's hard, but running in particular here is kind of like a microcosm of life. You're gonna have moments where it feels easy. You're gonna have moments where it gets real hard, and there's something about like feeling like or kind of like knowing that you're not alone in that. It's true in life. It's also like obviously true in running. You can look, left, right, in front of you, behind you. There are other runners doing the exact same thing as you, and they're experiencing all the same things you're experiencing. They're having highs, they're having lows, and there's people coming together to support each other through those things. There's something really special about that. That's a large part of why it was so easy for me to fall in love kind of with the trail running community, is that there's so much of that that kind of like community aspect to it. Like these people you're out running with, like, yeah, okay, you're competing, that's fine. But it's almost like the excuse to get people out there and get them together. And really you're just helping everyone. Everyone is helping everyone do the best that they can out there. And I think that's really special.
I absolutely love both of those answers. And kind of going off of that, I'm a firm believer that, special races and performances take special environments. And I think what Nettie and Jennifer have done with Empower Ultras has been absolutely incredible across all of their races so far. Talk about what the environment was like for someone maybe who has never been to the Night Owl Trail and Marathon or one of Empower Ultras events. And Mo, if you want to start this one off.
Well, they have the best food spread you can even imagine. I'm not kidding. There was so much food in this nice warm tent, and where everyone was gathering before and after, and and then I volunteered, and I think this is coming down the line, but at the Vernal Equinox last year, and that's a timed race. And again, the people that are volunteering there and preparing the food and supporting the other people, it's just the best feeling. And I don't know. Andrew?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's, I mean, the different communities that come together to make a race happen, right? It's not just a race company, an RD and a couple RDs and a couple volunteers that do it. It's the whole like trail running community has to come together to bring these things to life. I mean, we see that at Shawnee with all the different aid stations. The groups that put those on, but it's definitely true here with Empower Ultras and their races. There was an aid station at Night Owl that was run by the Trail Sisters groups out of Dayton, that Mo I know runs with sometimes, and I think Nettie is one of the leads of that.
She is
that club.
She's got a good group of ladies.
There are Trail Sister groups all over the chapters. I think there's a chapter in Athens, Dayton / Cincinnati. There was an aid station that was captained by David Korfman. Anyone who's in the Ohio or Cincinnati ultra running community knows him. He's the race director of the Stone Steps 50K. That's Cincinnati is really one of our biggest hometown local ultras. That happens at Mount Airy Forest every October. This year's going to be the 20th running of that, the 20th anniversary of Stone Steps 50K. And they also have a 27K. So that's a really cool race. So that he and a couple of his friends were manning one of the other volunteer aid stations. And then at the other one, I think at the third aid station that's on the course, it was our friend and community member Angelia was there, who's a member of the Studs Facebook group. And that's not if no one on here, or if someone here doesn't know what that is, it's not like a cocky statement. That's an acronym for slowly training for ultra distances. It's a Facebook group for Cincinnati and Dayton area runners. It's a really, really awesome community of people. I know Facebook groups can be a mixed bag, but there's some really, really giving, caring, supportive people in that Facebook group for trail runners in the Cincinnati and Dayton area. So yeah, I mean, you add all that together, you've got people giving their time to mark the course, people giving their time to provide you food and resources to help you do your race and help get you to the finish line. Everyone is on your side. Like, everyone who's there wants you to succeed and wants you to have a good time and achieve your goal, whatever that is. The goals that people show up with look different for everybody. That's great. There's a lot of diversity in the trail running community. I think that's one of the goals of Trail Sisters, with increasing, getting more women into trail running, with some of the things that they do to promote that. Do you know what some of those are, Mo? Like equal space at the start line for women and men.
Yeah.
A few other
think,
things.
I mean, Nettie would probably be more skilled to talk about this, but yeah, I mean, women are race directors all around are trying to even the playing field for women to gain entrance and start, to promote people to get women to the start line, basically to give them the opportunity to be brave enough. I mean, you have to be brave enough to get there. But yeah, evening that out.
Yeah.
Both has been around Ohio has been great. Like, I know there's been a lot of Trail Sister approved races, and that number has been growing a lot with like you said, the equal positioning at the starting line, the equal pay for prizes, as well as like feminine products and stuff like that around in the bathrooms. Just making it more comfortable for everyone who's trying to run. So it's been great to see.
I think Samuel Hartman said it best on his show with Tinar Racing Group. He said, if your race isn't Trail Sisters approved at this point, you're doing it completely wrong. And I think I totally echo those sentiments as well. But John, what do you have next?
I was going to say, you guys have been talking, the common theme, I think, of today's episode has been watching other people grow and helping other people grow and community. And I know, Andrew, you're sitting over there with a nice little shirt on. And I didn't know if you wanted the River City stuff. I don't know if you want to talk about like some of the your running group in the morning that you guys do and all your Hill Yeah Fridays and all your other stuff and how big that has been as part of your community.
Sure.
Yeah, one of the groups that I run with in Cincinnati is called the Roebling Runners. It was started by a couple guys who I think they were in college together, and they graduated from college and started to settle down and have family lives and professional lives, and they weren't getting as much time to see kind of their friends as they had when they were still in college. So one of the ways that they found that they were able to bond was through running together. And they, one of the guys, Andrew Waugh has over the past three and a half years, the group just celebrated its third birthday with a big group run, and I think it was in July. But yeah, they decided to build this community of runners, and it's just a really low key run group in Cincinnati. There's no membership or anything, and it's all just kind of there are some organized runs. The most popular one is the Tuesday morning run. So we did it this morning. We meet in Newport, Kentucky, just across the river from downtown Cincinnati. And we do a run called the Bellow Boomerang. It's usually out of a coffee shop called Carabello in Newport. And then we run across the Roebling Bridge north into Cincinnati, and we run around the Reds ballpark and then come back south over a different bridge back into Newport. And then it's about 3.5 miles, and we hang out and drink coffee for a few minutes in the morning, or eat a donut or a bagel or a muffin or something. And
I was gonna say, today was donut day. I didn't get an invite. I'm kind of disappointed.
you better be on the next flight out here next Tuesday. Yeah. But yeah, it's just like a great group to have, like community fellowship with other runners. There are people in the group of all different experience levels, abilities, styles of running. And that's not the only run the group does. The group does other runs too. One of them is a special event that they do each year to commemorate the start of the Reds baseball season, our baseball team in Cincinnati. And it's called the River City Hustle. I'm wearing the shirt. It consists of, it's totally crazy race. So one of the things I love about the Roebling Runners is they do these really just off the wall, goofy, creative running things sometimes. And this is one of their traditions. So it's laps around Great American Ballpark, which are roughly 1 kilometer. It's a little longer than 1 kilometer. And they do it like a baseball game. There are 9 innings. So it's 9 laps around the ballpark. And each running, it starts and then it ends, and there's a break in between the inning. So it kind of like starts over again each inning. And sometimes you're going clockwise around the stadium. Sometimes you're going counterclockwise. The route's not set in stone. There are different ways to go around the ballpark. You can take some staircases, which make the lap a little shorter, but you throw in some elevation, a little extra elevation gain. Or you can go around the backside and it's more flat, and you're on down ramps and up ramps, but it's a little longer overall. So there's some strategy involved too. This is just an example of one of the events that the club puts on.
They are one of the most creative groups of people I have ever seen. I mean,
it's really cool, some of the creative stuff they come up with. For one of the guys' 30th birthday, he decided to run 30 miles on the Roebling Bridge, just back and forth. It's about a half a mile across and then a half mile back. So if you go down and back, it's about a mile. He did that 30 times. Paul was there. Paul ran all 30 with him.
I didn't know that.
And it was a whole event. They started at first thing in the morning, I think maybe 5 or 6 a.m. and ran until it was done. But there were people who came for an hour here or an hour there and jumped in, and some people did 1 lap, some people did a half marathon. Yeah, I remember it was Rachel. It was her first half marathon at that event. So we're really lucky, and that's just one. This is an example of one club, one out of many. We're extremely fortunate, blessed in Cincinnati to have just an abundance of really cool running communities that are available to us as runners. Any style of running you like, any distance, like you can find a club that's a fit for you. So you can share your running experience with other people if you want to. The Fleet Feet training programs for our hometown marathon, Race the Flying Pig, are really awesome. They're in Oakley and Blue Ash at the Fleet Feet stores. If you're more of like a serious runner and you really, you're a fast person and you really want to eke out every inch you can, push yourself to those limits. We've got training programs from Beyond Exercise in Oakley. It's pretty serious. And then we've got a club of guys in Cincinnati called Cincinnati's Elite. where to join the club, I think you have to run a marathon with a pretty serious speed. I think it might be under 3 hours to be able to run with those guys. But it's the same thing at all of these clubs. It's like different details, but it's the same result. It's people coming together and supporting each other and pushing each other to achieve their goals, whatever those goals look like. They don't look the same for everybody. They don't look the same for every group. So you bring people together in that way, and there's some really cool stuff that comes out of it.
That's awesome to hear. And, the Ridge Runners personally want to thank you for being so hospitable towards our intern, Nicholas Voss. He's been doing a lot of those runs recently down there. So, from us to you guys, we just want to say thank you for, not throwing them to the curb. And it sounds like you guys are always taking on new runners. So, we love to see that.
Yeah, Nick's been I think he's at 50% of the Roebling runs now. So he lives in Cincinnati now. It's awesome. He was there this morning. He and Claire and Leah. What's that?
You guys got some donuts today. He also those, right?
Yeah, well, that was for the SEOTR virtual winter challenge donut challenge for the day. Yeah,
so the chat is lit up like crazy since we started talking about the groups here and whatnot from Cincinnati. So I want to try to run through some of these real quick. Obviously, so there's let's see if we go back all the way up. Paul wants to know, Wes, are you and I going to come to Hill Yeah Friday one day?
It's been on my agenda for so long now, and I'm so disappointed that all my trips back to Ohio this past year, I couldn't get to Cincinnati on a Friday, and I even flew into the Cincinnati airport and out of that airport a bunch, so I gotta make it a priority. Add it to my 2022 goals. I'll see you at a Hill Yeah Friday, Paul.
Well, we'll be referencing this later in the year if he still hasn't made it up.
Fridays at 6.
We'll get a GoFundMe. We'll get a GoFundMe going for Wesley to get out here to get around Hill Yeah Friday. We have Ian Steigerwald. Hopefully I didn't say that too bad. In the chat says, I just started trail running and ran 2 10K races at the Rocks and Roots series, which is a great series too here in Columbus.
Sweet.
Over in Columbus. That's awesome. Aaron Wagner says, hi, Andrew, Mo, and Paul, and Max. I'm glad I have gotten connected with you all. Really enjoyed running my first night owl. So many great runners in the Cincinnati area. We've got Maggie saying she's looking for an apartment in Cincy next week, though she sees how early you guys get up to run, so that's, concerning.
It's worth it.
Yeah, you heard it. It's worth it. And then we've got everyone asking if Paul's a good guy, and so far everyone has said yes, Paul is a good guy. Even Paul said he's okay. Just like this chat's just going nuts over here. We did have a good question though here that came up earlier and said to both of you, what is your advice for a newbie or someone who is inspired to start running or trail running? And if Mo, do you want to go first on this one?
I've made so many mistakes. I'm the crash and burn. No, when I used to run marathons, like I never was able to because it always to me felt like I was going out for speed and out for hungry power run. And with trail running, it's take it easy in the beginning and enjoy it. A lot of people walk the inclines and run the flats to get their elevation up. A lot of people start with heart rate training where you're kind of doing longer runs in a zone 1 or zone 2 to get some of that endurance built up. Can always go to Hill Yeah Friday and get some elevation with the guys. They won't leave you behind.
And girls.
Excuse me, you're right. And girls. I also am a firm believer in building up some strength training. I know this is, some people don't do this, but as a woman in her 40s. It's been really important to me to build up my glutes so that the impact on my knees isn't hard on some of the terrain, and for some longevity and some endurance running. And just take it easy, enjoy it. That's all I have.
That's what it's all about is, at the end of the day, it's all about, your enjoyment with it and kind of finding that fulfillment, whatever that looks like for you. And I think that's kind of why, everyone who makes that transition and, sticks with it, kind of still does it to this day. And I think that's really awesome. Andrew, what tips would you give?
I like the Des Linden marathon, Boston Marathon winner, American champion Des Linden approach. She says, just keep showing up. It may not make sense to you now, but if you keep showing up, it's gonna happen for you. You're gonna figure it out. It's gonna start making sense. It may not make sense in the way that you thought it was gonna. It might make sense to begin with, but it's running is a journey. What you think is important when you're first starting out, you may find out, it's not as important. Some things you never thought about, those things might end up being, more important than you thought. And it's, the journey is different for everybody. But you won't know what's going to happen unless you go out and do it. So just, if you're just starting out, I love Couch to 5K apps. Start simple, start small, start with your fitness where you're at now. That won't be where you are forever. It's just where you are now. Bring, if you're so inclined, get involved with a running group or just a friend, a coworker, whoever. Just be like, hey, you know what? Let's meet up, and I just want to walk a mile around this park, or I just want to, I want to run 2 miles. Will you, let's get together and do it. Accountability with other people is huge for me. If I didn't have, if I didn't know other people were waiting for me at 6 a.m. on Friday morning, the corner of Straight Street and Ravine Street for Hill Yeah Friday in Clifton, I'm not going to get out of bed and show up by myself down there and do it every Friday. No way. But when I know that Paul's there and Nicole's there and Mary's there and Dan's there, and it's like there's that group accountability, and that's valuable. It's valuable for them. It's valuable for you. The kind of sum of all of that is greater than the individual parts. So.
I love how you were like, don't like using Des Linden's one. You're like, kind of don't really worry about much at the beginning. Just, just go out and just see what happens. You don't need to like stress about heart rate or stress about like what gear you have and stress about all these things. Just,
you'll figure it out.
Just get out and enjoy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Love it.
And then kind of going off that, as you continue to progress along, you kind of can add in these new elements throughout the way. And I believe both of you have actually done this to your own training and with your running now. And that's, having a coach to kind of help you along the way. Talk about, what that's been like, if you still have a coach, what that transition is like, and kind of how that helps you stay on track with life, with training, and kind of prepping for these races. And Andrew, if you want to go first on this one.
Sure. Getting a coach 2 years ago. Oh gosh. Yeah. It was during 2020, during the pandemic. Getting a coach is one of the worst decisions I've ever made as a runner. My mental propensity is to take things to extremes, and I'm like left to my own I will always say more is better. Do more. Like, how can you be a better runner than running 20 miles a week? by running 30 miles a week. And I can take that as, as far as I want to go, but that's not the way all bodies work, believe it or not. And so I started working with Alex Gold in the summer or fall of 2020. And to help me with training, to write training plans for me to become a better runner. And that structure has been, I think it's helped me grow and become a better runner, but it's also challenged me personally to kind of like be forced to listen to an outside perspective, even when he's saying things that I don't want to hear, like, no, you shouldn't be doing that, or man, why'd you do that? That was really like, yeah, that was something you did for a short-term gain, but it was really stupid for long-term. Like, is that what you want to be doing? Do you want to be getting a bunch of short-term feel good like wins and be forfeiting all of the other things you could be, getting out of running? So that whole process has been equal parts like rewarding and challenging, just to go through that growth, I guess. But yeah, working with Alex has been awesome. He's a super cool dude. Not to say that he's the only coach in Cincinnati. There are lots of coaches. And, I know a lot of people work with coaches that are remote. You can work with one from anywhere. Our buddy Radu, who used to live in Cincinnati and moved to Denver, I know he coaches a few people. He coaches Mark Oligi, and he's got a slightly different approach. He does more of the heart rate based training. He does tests with glucose monitors to find like the exact moment that your body's metabolic processes move from zone 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And it's really cool. He's the smartest runner I've ever met in my life. He knows his stuff. And so, there are different styles of coaching and training available to anyone that's interested.
Andrew, do you remember like a year ago when we were like, these coaches are ruining our lives?
Yes. A year ago? I mean, like a week ago?
Well,
I'm kidding.
That was this morning.
Alex, you're great.
Happy honeymoon. Happy honeymoon.
You're doing great. Things are great. I'm following all the plans. I promise.
Yeah, Paul said all caps. You have to listen to your coach. Cough, cough. Shadow Strava. Cough, cough.
No, Shadow Strava.
Shadow what?
Do you think we should do this 100-mile bike ride and put it on Shadow Strava?
I'm also supposed to ask about a taper-thon.
Ooh. Yeah, if you're gonna run a marathon, tell your coach before he sees it on Strava. That's all I'm saying.
What was the text? Can you read us the text that when he saw it?
No, it's not safe for these airwaves.
So you guys scolded. Okay, good.
I needed to be scolded.
I love that. I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping up here, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's time for our quick questions that we normally kind of end the show with. And so let's start things off with the first one. I'm going to make it Night Owl specific, because you guys were talking about, the great food that they have at that aid stations and kind of throughout the day. But, what's one thing you can't leave an aid station without, especially at the Night Owl Trail Marathon?
Melissa Mueller's cupcakes.
At the aid stations.
They were like, okay. Oh, at the aid stations.
Oh, good. No. If it was post race, that works for me. But
I
was just like,
you're like, where were they?
Because I need to add cupcakes into my training routine. That's all I'm saying. If there's at an aid station, I'm going to be in trouble when I come up to my next one.
What did you get, Andrew?
This is bad. I brought my gels, but I will say that David Corfin mixes the perfect blend of Tailwind. It is the exact correct ratio of water to powdered mix. So David Korfman, Stone Steps, RD, thank you for your tailwind service.
Sometimes it's a little watered down. You never know what you're going to get at different aid stations with the mixes.
Not in David's house.
It's good to know. I'll keep that in mind for when I'm looking at races. Next question we have here is weirdest hallucination you've had mid-race, or if you don't have one of those, strangest thing you've seen somebody eat at an aid station. And Andrew, do you want to start this one?
Sure. So the only time really that I've ever hallucinated in a race, Wesley was actually with me. He was pacing me at the end of a run in Colorado, and
The Leadville 100.
Yeah, the
had been running for.
Thank you for calling him on that. Thank you.
My goodness, Andrew.
I had been running for, I don't know, like 25 hours. And it was just before sunrise. So it was like the last hour before sunrise. And we were running through, this like dirt and root trail around the lake called Turquoise Lake. And I swear all of the roots were snakes. The roots on the ground were snakes. I knew they weren't snakes. They couldn't have been snakes, but they all looked like snakes and they were moving. And Wes is Bill Nye the Science Guy over here. He's like, snakes don't live above 7,000 feet elevation. Like there can't be snakes here, And I could say that to my brain, but that's what I was seeing. My eyes were telling me that they were like snakes moving. So that's my hallucination.
And I might have just been fluffing it, in the moment as a good pacer would. I do know that there is a rattlesnake threshold that they don't go above, but I couldn't tell you what it was. You're definitely safe, so no worries there. Mo, what about you?
I've done 100. It's Stray Dog 110. It was an adventure run, not race. And I don't have a hallucination, but parts of the night were very foggy. Like there was dogs barking behind us down the trail, and I thought they were like right behind me. And I was like, don't look back, don't look back. Let's just keep going, run. They're right there. They're right there. I don't know where they were. And then another part where there was a Ryan Erb. He was texting me. It was about mile 85. And at this point, I'm just kind of gone. And he said, meet you at the powder factory or something like that. And I was like, that's not on our route. And we were convinced it wasn't on our route. And like 10 minutes later, here he comes. He's like, I told you the powder factory was on the route. And I actually didn't remember even seeing him there. Like the next day, I forgot we met him there or saw him or period. That whole part of the night. Gone.
Strange things happen in long runs.
Phantom pacers in the middle of the night.
Phantom.
Were they ever there? We don't know.
I didn't remember he was there, but I do know he was there.
So the next one is one of my favorites as well, and I'm going to add a little bit to it. But what ball sport do you think you can beat most ultra runners in, particularly Wesley? And we'll let Mo go first.
Oh, that's terrible. Maybe tennis?
Tennis?
That'd be a good match. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever played tennis?
Yeah, I played growing up a little bit with friends too. So yeah, and I had a ping pong table in my basement. So I'm all about the paddle sports. I recently got into pickleball.
Oh, pickleball's awesome.
So that's another really good one if no one's played. Yeah, I think you definitely give me a run for my money with tennis because I haven't played in probably 5 years. So
when you come for Hill Friday, we'll set up some kind of pickleball net.
Awesome, Andrew.
So I was talking about this with Nigel Newhall this morning on the run. We were going over these questions because I needed help. And we decided that in order for us to beat you at a ball-related sport, we would have to invent the sport, and we would have to be the only ones who knew the rules. And that way you wouldn't be able to beat us because you didn't know how. It's the only way that we could beat you at a ball-related sport.
I could see him still somehow winning in this situation, and you never ever living it down.
Seems possible. Yeah, you're right. If I had to pick one, it would also be tennis. Yeah.
My brother's actually like a crazy good tennis player, and so like whenever I play him, he crushes me. So I'm definitely kind of used to getting a little bit on the tennis court. So Regeneration knows now. That's maybe the sport.
Next question here we've got is if ultra running had walk-up songs like baseball, what would yours be? And Andrew, you're going first on this one, please.
Oh gosh, I didn't answer this one.
You work through these questions.
The classic.
Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett.
Let's go. That is an incredible addition to the Spotify playlist. I cannot wait to be jamming out to some Margaritaville mid-long run.
Oh, geez.
All right, I got nothing else.
Man.
Perfect. Mo, how about you?
Mine would have to be like, pump up the jam, pump it up, pump up the jam.
Some classic jock jams going over here.
Yeah.
I love it. Those are great. So let's see here. We got the next one coming up is if you could run with one person in the history of the world, even if they aren't a runner and assuming they would be able to keep your pace, who would it be and maybe where you would do that? And Mo, if you want to go first.
That one was really hard. I think I'm gonna go with Michael Jordan. I just grew up like just totally fascinated by him. I grew up watching him, and I think it would just be so fun.
That'd be a competitive run too. You know,
I know.
You would be like one step you the whole time.
His stride versus mine would be just ridiculous.
Probably be like one of those cartoon ones where you see like someone running real fast next to you.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Andrew, how about you? What would yours be?
Real quick, I have a correction to make for my walk-up song. I'm being told in the chat I have to say the song "Unwritten" by Natasha Bedingfield. So I officially changed my song to "Unwritten" by Natasha Bedingfield. Thanks, Max.
Noted.
Both of these are going to go on that list. If it's on the list, it stays.
So this is Run with Anybody. This is a cliche runner answer, but 100% Eliud Kipchoge. Like that dude is my dude. Like I like what he puts down. He does like 95% of his runs as a group runs with his community of runners, like at a chill, easy pace around town. He lives a simple lifestyle. His running has like an important like humanitarian message behind it. He thinks that we can be better people in the world and in our lives through running. And I just think he's one of the coolest dudes ever. I mean, I know he's the world's greatest marathon runner ever, but I think he's super cool. And one of my favorite things about him is the favorite things that I've ever heard him say was, so he was the first guy to break the 2-hour running a marathon in under 2 hours. But he did that in 2019, but he tried to do it first in 2016 or 2017, and he failed. He didn't hit the goal by a painfully close amount. I think he ran in 2 hours and 25 seconds or maybe 30 seconds. So it was just like a second per mile off of achieving this goal. And they were interviewing him after the event. They said, Eliud, what are you going to change about your training going forward so that you can achieve this goal? Because even after not achieving it at that time, he knew he wanted to do it. He said, I'm not going to change my training. I'm going to change my mind. And that always stuck with me. about how all of this stuff that we do, it's so kind of up here in our brains and in our communities. And I just thought that was a really powerful thing he said. So
Yeah, I would agree with like it's one of those things where it's like the mind is really kind of where it's at in the long run I guess. What you know, that mentality of what you bring, and you know, he's very disciplined, and he always talks about, he always like you were talking about earlier with Des, like he shows up so every single day and does what he needs to do to try to achieve his goals. So I love that answer. I love both answers. Michael Jordan would be fun too, because you know, gonna ask him about the Bugs Bunny and basketball and stuff. But
He's someone who I don't think I can beat at basketball, for the record. Just so just so Original Nation knows, there's not any confusion out here. If Mr. Jordan ever comes on the Returns Live, you know, I will make sure that he knows that he can beat me in basketball. But you know, I think we're about to wrap up tonight's show. Before we get out of here, do you guys have any sponsors or social media you'd like to plug?
If you're in the Cincy area and you're interested, follow Roebling Runners on Instagram, Facebook, or now TikTok. They have a TikTok now. If you're interested in joining and sharing some miles with the club. Also, registration for the River City Hustle is still open. It's limited to 20 spots, 20 runners. But if you're interested in running the River City Hustle on April 1st, send a message to one of the Roebling Runner accounts on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, and they'll get you set up with that. And also, Empower Ultras has some upcoming races this year. Their next race is the Vernal Equinox, which I think is also April 1st and 2nd. It's a 6-hour, it's an 8-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour, and 48-hour run.
New this year.
In Batavia. Yeah, this is the first year for the 48-hour. Chad Coombs, let's go.
Buck Rogers.
And Buck, yes.
Production video.
It's going to be so
Blythe?
exciting.
Nicole Blythe.
Yeah.
She's going to go out there and probably crush it.
It's going to be so epic.
I'm volunteering. Yeah. Come on down.
Be in Batavia, Ohio on April 1st and 2nd for Vernal Equinox. That's all I got.
Did you miss anything?
Did I? I don't know.
Do you have anything to add, Mo? Social media plugs or sponsors?
No. If Canada Dry is ever willing, I'm all yours.
We'll have to reach out to them and see what we can help with. Let's see here. I think it's everything for the evening, right, Wesley?
Yeah, this is go for it.
I was gonna say, it's been a great show. It's been great to sit down and hear both of your different stories and you know, how you came into running, and you know, both of those being different but also very similar. So I love that. Everyone in the chat, thanks for coming into the chat tonight. Thanks for all the questions and comments. We didn't get to every one single question that was in there. If we did that, we probably would have been here for another hour. So that's awesome. Other than that, I think that's everything, and we will see everybody again next week on the next podcast. And we're looking forward to it. So it's been a great start to 2022 already. So we're looking forward to it.
For having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.